thank God you don't hit me, okay? I got it all the time. Luganville, Luganville, it's, you know. Hey, so it is my honor. I'm gonna introduce our master of ceremonies, and I'm gonna read you this thing that this Robert gratefully wrote for me. So, veteran meteorologist Kevin Musso joined ABC 30 Action News in August 2008. Kevin is truly a renaissance man. Along with weather forecasting, one of his passions is music. He sings, plays guitar, writes original songs, fly fishing on the Kings River, and visiting Valley classrooms to teach kids the nuances about the weather are also among his favorite pastimes. Best of all, though, Kevin is a 1979 Clovis High grad and a lifelong Central Valley resident. He was first heard on Valley radio stations as Moose in the Morning, a nickname given to him while playing football at Clovis High. So please join me in welcoming our Master of Ceremonies, the Moose, Kevin Musso.
Wow. Hi guys. I gotta tell you, this is extremely surreal for me. I could have never imagined that many years later, after being one of the privileged Clovis High students and athletes, to stand next to this man right here and run plays in off the field and represent you, to be invited to do something like this so many years later. I could have never imagined having an honor like that. So this is special for me, and I really do appreciate it, having the chance to do this. And I have to kind of deviate just a little bit for a second, because I just want to give every single person an apology about how horrible the weather is lately. I wasn't able to get halfway through the room and I was hearing the complaints already, you can imagine. We're going to get 2 full days of 99-degree weather, so I'll take credit for that. Right? And don't talk to me about global warming or climate change or anything like that, because this is all about football and Clovis High tonight. How's that sound? Good? All right. Good to see you. All right, well, without further ado, they put a couple of chairs up here for us, and I get to bring up the inductees, and we're going to ask a few questions that have been prepared, so I'm going to do my best not to flub that up, right? And I might improvise a little bit, or if you guys can think of something impromptu, we're here to have a good time. Just shout out a question, right? Why not? All right. First and foremost, as to be expected, we're going to begin with Floyd Doc Buchanan, of course, represented by his daughter, retired Clovis Unified Principal, Danielle. Come on up. All right. We're going to let you put that down for a second because you got to hold the microphone. Yeah, spike it.
Floyd Doc Buchanan was the iconic and legendary mastermind of the Clovis Unified School District. Clovis High School's Cougar Country is right where he planted, cultivated, and nourished his vision for the traditions of excellence and high academic and curricular standards which still serve as today's benchmarks for student performance. Doc set the bar high for all of us, and his unfailing quest for individual and collective excellence capitulated Clovis Unified and our entire community into an era of growth and opportunity for people who wanted to live, work, and raise their families in an atmosphere that embraced lofty expectations, healthy competition, and the Clovis way of life. We will always remember Doc's infamous words of wisdom, fondly known as Docisms. A fair break for every kid. It's people, not programs. If you want to develop winners, you've got to surround children with winners. Teach kids how to dust themselves off and get back in the game. Be the best you can be in mind, body, and spirit. Win with class and move with dignity. And our all-time favorite, never forget our motto, sick 'em.
Yes. He's worthy of a million salutes, and he's one of the main reasons why we're here. We're all proud of him, and we're happy to talk to you. Would you have a seat with me? All right, cool. This feels better. Where's the cameras? They said this was going to be on ABC 30. Is it on? No. Actually, I think hidden out there somewhere is a camera for us. All right, so I'm going to ask you a quick question here, okay? Your dad, well known for his Spartanian philosophy, okay? So where did football fit into the concept?
Well, let me tell you all that I know that no one, and I can't speak for Doc, so I know that you would like to hear exactly from him. So I attempted to call St. Peter and ask him to contact Doc, and ask Doc to text me back so I give you the right answer. I wouldn't waste your time. But Doc doesn't know computer skills that well, so he hasn't responded. So I'll try my very, very best to give you the answer. But if you think back, Spartanian, those were the gallant warriors, well-trained, well-prepared, and they went to fight in the great arena, in the Colosseum, and some of them won. And I do think he was a great, great studier of history. And Dad thought that where else? Looking over all the platforms that go on in education. Academics, we know, is predominant. And academics is what we do in our field. But to create enthusiasm, to drive to the core of how we work, how we come together as a team, and how we carry on year after year after year, how do you develop that? And I think he started with football. And why football? Football, you have to work as a team. You could be excellent as an individual all-star, but you have to provide skills, and you have to listen, and you have to learn, and you have to make yourself commit to, I'm going to be successful because everyone around me is successful. And that's what Dad believed in. So when you think about football, and I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a little cougar. Not in the wrong way. I am really married, and he's sitting over there, and he's listening to it. Excuse me, Doug. But I am a 68 graduate of Clovis High School. And I do remember coming to this new area with Dad and everything, that being a Clovis cougar was something you did not talk about. You were cowgirl, cowboy. You had no class, no dignity. Fresno High Warriors, the McLean Highlanders, the Roosevelt Rough Riders, they were the name in town. So when you took and started a new school district, and you had this vision that these people do not perceive their potential, they do not know the wondrous environment that they are in, the caliber of the students, the excellence of the staff. How can you pull something together, and what can you give them to latch onto to make this something that we are homegrown and this is all of us? And I do believe he chose football. When he chose football, then he started to go after, I'm going to give my kids the very, very best. Who do I have to get? Then he started recruiting Simon. He started recruiting. He went out of the area and he pulled in these people who, when they sat down with him, it was no easy task. He said, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do that's different than Fresno? Because they are king of the hill. What are you going to do? How are you going to support us? And is this the name of the game for the long term, not just the short term? And when he surrounded all of us with winners and took the philosophy, these winners need to show how you train, how you practice, how you handle loss, how you get up when you've been slaughtered, because we were slaughtered for years. And we needed to have a sense of pride. These kinds of people that are being recognized tonight and such were the people that helped stimulate and bring a part of using football to be the catalyst to the community having a pride, the community finding that, hey, instead of me being in high school and anybody asks, well, where do you go to high school? You didn't say. I married a Fresno High Warrior, and he has a lot to say about what they thought about Clovis and such. He's been forgiven for his sins. But we know that we didn't rape. And the community did not believe. So football became the one thing that you could include the highest number of students, and the ripple effect of the cheerleaders and the musicians and everything else that goes into that football product on Friday night, lights out. That was the big thing.
The voice of God speaks through her. Isn't that wonderful? It is about teamwork, right? It is. You know, I just, for a second, I thought about Coach Belichick. And if you guys have ever seen him interviewed after he wins again, he'll always get irritated and say, just do your job. That's what I tell my guys. Just do your job, because if every single one of them does their job, the team wins. And it's about the team. Awesome. Okay. Your father, now he had a vision for Clovis Unified to have a world-class athletic, recreational, and cultural facility. What role did LaMonica Stadium play in that vision?
That's super special. And I have to say to you that football was the catalyst. That's what you chose. And you could get everyone sort of behind that. You could get your community to grow, to coming to the Friday night games, and we weren't being slaughtered at the start of the show, and we were improving it each week. But you think about who that stadium is named after. That's a world class. Where is Mr. Darryl Monica? Accolades to you. This is a Clovis Cougar product. And he went on to Notre Dame. And when Dad came to Clovis and we looked and he talked at home about how many kids were going on to four-year colleges, it was only 3%. And Mr. LaMonica, with his expertise and his skill, went off to Notre Dame. And then he became a Raiders coach. So when you talk about why that stadium is important and why you chose that name, here was someone that, through his own abilities and working as a team and growing and challenging himself, everything that you think about in Spartanian, the warrior, the one that gets knocked down, gets back up and does it, to name that stadium, that forever pronounced. This is who we are. This is what we want. This is our hero in our community, and all of us can be like that. You just got to find what it is you're special about, work hard, and your potential is unlimited. So the naming of that high school was exceedingly important, and I know they struggled, and I know they worked on it, and we were so honored that, they were so honored that Mr. LaMonica agreed to have that, and I think that says something about us. We're international. Everybody knows who Darryl LaMonica is. Now, if you're a child, doesn't matter if you're poverty in Clovis, doesn't matter if you're from the North End, but there is a name in saying, from Clovis, I can do it. From Clovis, there is every opportunity for me personally to be successful. All I need to do, which is pretty tough, is to challenge myself, admit to my failures, get back up, go forward, and be the success that I should be. So the naming of the stadium was extremely important. My husband was joking with me when I said, I tried to talk to Dad, but Dad wasn't sending any messages. He said, well, this thing, think about the Spartans going into the arena and fighting with the Lions. He said, I bet your Dad thought about the Clovis Cougars going against the Eagles, munching on the Timberwolves, chewing on the Bears, and there's one other riding on the Broncos. And maybe he didn't know all those names, but the Clovis Cougars would forever have something that no other high school would have, and that would be something special, that they were the core, they were the beginning, and they led the way in showing all the rest of how special they were and the potential. So the naming of the stadium was very important.
Awesome. Good answer. Before you go, I just want to make a true confession. Okay. I have many times asked somebody publicly, what school did you go to? And you know why? Because I couldn't wait to tell them what school I went to. And thank goodness for Doc, okay? Another round of applause for Doc Stratton.
Kevin, if I could also say, he would have applauded you. And he would have commended everyone here, because you played a significant role in the mindset in changing Clovis. We are a way of life. We are winners. And when you started to believe in that, then the vision took off. And then I would compliment Dr. Rogers and everyone involved in tonight. Look how you have driven this, and look how you have moved this one step forward to even honoring our individual Cougars that were the core and the foundation of what we had. So congratulations to all of you. I know Dad would have spent 20 minutes talking. I'm only maybe 5 or 6 or something. But humbly, very, very grateful and appreciate what this community does for the students that we serve and what we do as adults to support one another. Thank you.
What a great start. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, the inductee is my former head coach. He's my coach for life. How about that? Tim Simons.
Tim Simons was one of the His coaching history reflects a legendary career that spanned multiple generations of Clovis Cougar football. During his CHS tenure from 1976 to 1999, Simons and his hallmark coaching staff went 220, 61, and 6. That's a 775 winning percentage. Coach Simons is the winningest Division I football coach in Central Section history. During the 1990s, the Cougars amassed over 100 wins, 3 section titles, and earned 2 national rankings. Tim's resume includes 5 section titles, 4 runner-up finishes, and 11 league championships in 24 years, while launching Clovis Unified into an athletic empire under the visionary leadership of the late Floyd Doc Buchanan. Upon his retirement, Clovis High School honored Coach Simons by naming its most prestigious form of athletic recognition, the Tim Simons Character and Sportsmanship Award, in honor of his exceptional integrity and remarkable coaching career.
Well, here we are, Coach. Your fullback is sitting next to you. It was a few years ago. You remember me?
I do. 78th season.
That's right. You remember that last game that we played in Madera?
Yep.
That was a heart-wrencher.
Heart-wrencher, yep.
Fought it all the way to the end. But you know what? There was a great lesson in that game. No matter, even sometimes if you end up in the short end of the stick, you're a Clovis Cougar, and you're a champion no matter what. And you were wonderful to be coached. What blew me away, I started thinking before this event, of just the guys that coached with you, the men that you assembled. And every one of them had a personal impact. You know, they were all assigned. There was lineman coaches, and wide receiver coaches, and halfback coaches, and everything. All of them had their unique personalities. All of them were special. And all of them had something to give, but they have a guy that's up the top, and he's sitting right next to me right now, okay? But he assembled all those guys, so that's this first question that I have for you. You had a bunch of coaches during your tenure at Clovis High School. It's been described as some of the best groups ever in Central California and the Valley. What would you say to that?
Well, the coaches, first of all, I'll be talking about the assistants, and not the head coach. But the assistant coaches that I had there was an extremely good group. I've observed a lot of high school staffs over the years. I've never seen one like one we had. And I would take it a step farther. I coached 9 years of college football on some high-powered staffs and some big-time teams. But again, those guys were not comparable to that staff that we had at Clovis High. They were not only like students of the game, they were great teachers of the game. And they were consistent teachers. And they were going to teach and demand from the beginning of the first practice to the end of the last practice. And we had a work ethic. We were not going to be outworked by any staff, so we vowed that. And so 7 days a week that went without saying. We worked 7 days a week. But in the early 80s, we started filming our practices. High school teams in those days didn't do that. We didn't just film some practices. We filmed, once we started, we filmed every practice. That meant every night. We stayed after, took however long it took, to go through those practice films and see what we had to fix for tomorrow, so our team would be better. So we spent a lot of time together, but we enjoyed it. We became great lifelong friends, the coaches and myself. And we had a passion for what we were doing. We loved Cougar football. And another key factor there, though, was family support. It was crucial for us since we spent so much time. But our families understood. They also knew that for 24 years, after every game, win or lose, we had an after-game get-together at one of our houses. Our families knew that those after-game get-togethers were way more fun when we won the game. So they said, you guys, do whatever it takes. Spend as much time as you need to give our team the best chance to win on Friday nights. So it was an incredibly great situation that we had there. And to me, if I thought this honor was about me personally, I'd be a little delusional. It's about that coaching staff. And they were the best ever anywhere, in my opinion.
I knew you were going to say that. I tell you, you just mentioned something, and I reflect on it, being involved with the media. You know, when they would come and they would film the games, they'd have to leave at about halftime. So if something big happened, second half of the game, it wouldn't make the 11 o'clock news. And the reason for that back then, it was film. It wasn't video. They had to actually develop it. Now, he's talking about taping the practices. We never had an opportunity to do that when I was there, so I can see why. I watched the program at Clovis High explode after I was gone, and now I really kind of understand why. It's exponential when you go back and watch every practice, not just some of the game, and I know we filmed the games too. So that's great insight to know that.
Of course, our video clip was primitive compared to today, but we got it done. Got our own tower and started filming practice.
Well, it paid off, right? Absolutely. All right, so now, you go back a ways. You started coaching football at 20 years old, right? Age 20?
Yep.
Okay, so why at 76 years of age are you still doing this?
Well, Clovis North High School, our head coach there is Vinny Martinez. Now, Vinny was a Clovis High Cougar, played on our famous 1987 team, and he needed a freshman coach. So last year he said, would you coach our freshman team? And a few years back, I had come to the realization that my Friday night coaching, the Friday night lights, they were over for me. It was time. But I thought, Thursday afternoons. Maybe I can do that. I still have some fun. And I did last year, and I did have some fun. And I'm signed up again for this year. I don't have a timetable set, but I still love the game of football. I love coaching it, and I really enjoy coaching the young men. And so I'll have to see how many more years I continue to do that. But I do know one thing. I dread the day that what I have to do in life is sit around and watch daytime TV.
Or the news. Yeah.
That's your program.
Well, I'll tell you what, the biggest compliment that you could ever be paid is to continue to be invited back to something. And I can tell you right now, there's never going to come a day that people aren't going to invite you to participate with all your knowledge and everything you have to give and the passion you have for the game. I thank you personally, and we want to thank you too for what you have done for Clovis High School. Good job, Coach. Yeah. Look, Coach. Wow, it's getting better, right? Each one just gets better and better. Next, we get to talk about Lloyd Merriman, and it's going to be represented by his grandson, Billy Jack Herdman.
Cougar great Lloyd Merriman was the star halfback for the first undefeated football team in the history of Clovis High School. Upon graduation in 1942, Lloyd enrolled at Stanford University, made the football team as a walk-on, and also played baseball. After joining the service in 1943, Lloyd continued to play football. While extremely humble about his service to our country, Lloyd was clearly a World War II and Korean War hero. He served as a United States Naval aviator during World War II and was recalled to active duty while in the United States Marine Corps Reserve during the Korean War. From January to August 1953, Lloyd served in Korea at A3 in Pohang with the 1st Marine Air Wing and flew 87 combat missions in a Grumman F-9F Panther jet fighter. Lloyd was proud to serve our country alongside with other NFL and Major League greats, such as Cliff Battle, Tom Landry, Ted Williams, and Joe DiMaggio. Lloyd later returned to Stanford to play football, scored their first post-World War II touchdown, and was ultimately drafted by the Chicago Bears. However, following a leg injury, he focused on baseball, where the rest, as they say, is history. Merriman enjoyed a remarkable Major League Baseball career with the Cincinnati Reds, and in 1993, Clovis High named its baseball field in his honor.
All right. You're doing great, man. You're on these excusable. Yeah, I was going to say, you're in the hot seat right here, my friend. I tell you what, we're talking about two sports. It's hard, one sport. Football and baseball. Pretty amazing, right? Your grandfather. Stanford. Wow. And major leagues. So, was he torn between the two? What was his favorite?
To be honest, my grandfather, overall, he loved it. It wasn't just football and baseball. It was football, basketball, track, baseball. Later in life, it became rodeo. And it was something that competition for him was just a huge part of his life. I think he loved the game of football. I know that he learned a lot from the game of football and he carried over his baseball career and vice versa. But he had a lot of success. He knows he was very blessed, I think, to be able to play two sports at a university like Stanford. And helped from being a walk-on and becoming an All-American in those sports. Really trying out for the team only because his buddies and his going room basically said, why don't we give it a shot, see what happens. And he did that for both sports, and it worked out pretty well. Baseball, I think, down the road, he had that, it was mentioned in the video, he had that groin injury his junior year at Stanford football. And it kind of hurt him his senior year in football. He was struggling to cut and do some things at halfback that you need your legs. And so he kind of saw the writing on the wall. I think baseball at the time, that's America's pastime. It was the professional sport. So he figured longevity and the injury thing, baseball was going to take him a lot further. And so he made the choice because he was drafted in baseball to take that route. I think, like I said, I don't know necessarily. I would say probably baseball was his baby. Maybe slightly with football, but I know he loved the game of football and probably would have liked to have done both at the next level if possible.
What a legacy. It means something to make an impact in just one sport, but two. And when they make achievements like that in the world outside of Clovis, California, it raises the platform and the expectations of the ones that are playing now and the ones that are going to play in the future. So it's men like your granddad that elevate programs like this because of who they were and what they did. It's outstanding. It's amazing. Good story. All right, so now, what were some remembrances that your grandfather shared with you about his days at Clovis High?
Well, just the city of Clovis, that's who my grandfather was. Small town kid, in the 40s, in Clovis High, and there was nothing around Clovis High, very little around Clovis High. And he loved this community, he loved Clovis High and everything about it, and I know that he was very proud of that 1941 undefeated football team, the first ever undefeated Clovis High football team, one of only two ever. So I know that was something he talked about pretty regularly, and the relationships that he built with some of those guys on that team, long life friends of his that he remained friends with till his death. And he just loved Clovis. He knew, I think, once he left Clovis and he was going on to bigger and better things, he was always going to come back. He wanted to be involved in the community. He wanted to be involved in just Clovis programs and support Clovis athletics and Clovis High School. And, I was fortunate, obviously, enough to come through Clovis High myself and play there as well, and I know that probably made him proud. Yeah.
You're proud of him, aren't you?
I am,
I can see.
Yeah, I still get a little choked up.
A little choked up, man. Yeah. That's what this is about. I'm glad you're showing that. Because that's what this night is all about. How about a huge round of applause for grandson. And of course, all right. And now, it's time for Daryl LaMonica.
Daryl LaMonica was an exceptional athlete at Clovis Union High School, where he lettered in 4 sports and was named an all-state quarterback. He said no to baseball and opted to attend the University of Notre Dame, where he spent 3 seasons as the starting quarterback. Daryl was then drafted by the NFL's Green Bay Packers and the AFL's Buffalo Bills and played 4 seasons with the Bills. In 1967, Daryl was traded to the Oakland Raiders, where he led them to a 34-4-1 record during his first 3 seasons. Howard Cosell dubbed him the Mad Baller when Daryl threw 89 touchdown passes during the 1967, 1968, and 1969 seasons, a Raider record to this day, along with his record 34 total touchdown passes in 1969. Additional records include going 66, 16, and 4 as a Raider starter, the second best winning percentage in NFL history, and executing 1 or more touchdown passes for 25 consecutive games. Only Daryl can put the proper spin on an infamous 1968 Heidi Bowl game between the Oakland Raiders and the visiting New York Jets. The game was notable for its exciting finish, in which Oakland scored 2 touchdowns in the final minute to win the game 43-32. Suffice it to say that the NFL has since had media contracts that require television stations to show all NFL games in entirety. Clovis High's LaMonica Stadium opened in 1974 in recognition of the legendary Cougars' illustrious career.
all right, another true confession. One of the coolest things in the world about going to Clovis High is always name dropping. Yeah, we played LaMonica Stadium. Did you hear that? LaMonica Stadium. Awesome. It's a pleasure to be here next to you, sir.
It is a great honor to have stadium named that. I mean, I'm just part of it with the athletes and see a coach here, and I'm just part of the Clovis Unified School District athletic program. I'm so proud to be a part of that. And so, it's people don't realize. They thought that probably we all started at the top. I got to tell you about Clovis High School. My freshman year, go out for football. I go out, And they throw all the pads on it, like Coach, you appreciate it. They throw all the pads down, you grab your pads, you put them on, we go right to the practice field. And I looked at the thigh pads, and they looked like the high parts should come on the inside, and I was going to be a fullback, and I run through the ropes and dig, and well, after a while, it was pinching the groin real hard, and I said, Coach, I don't think I'm tough enough to play this sport. I could still hear him laughing. He looked at me because I had my pads on back there. And so I had to undress, take it all off, put it back, and I go, whoa, that feels a lot better. That's how Darrell Micah started his football career. And I was so fortunate to have a coach like Lloyd Lease that we had two coaches back then. Fred Peters was my coach, and Lloyd Lease was our head coach. And our sophomore year, we won Valley Championship. And I wanted to, I was starting fullback, and we won the Valley Championship. And Coach Lease comes up and he says, Darrell, he says, Lloyd Little graduated, and he said, I'd like to have you be my quarterback next year. I said, yeah, Coach. I said, I'd like to do that, but show me how to play the position, I'll play. And for a lot of you who did know, even my own teammates, is there again, my last class was PE. Coach Lease was in charge of that. He would come to me and he would draw up like Fresno High School, if that's what we were playing. And he would give me the playbook and he says, I want all the runs, all the passes you do against that, boom, and they'd leave. I get out, I'd start right out, have 15 runs, 20 passes, And he'd come back and he says, why are you doing that way? I don't know, Coach, they're in the playbook. And it was, I can't tell you how many times that happened. And we'd go to practice, and he would correct it all, go to practice, and he'd just blow on his whistle. Boom, we would go right in there. Now, all my teammates thought I was some kind of a football genius, I guess, because I just stepped right in, called the plays, boom, we'd run the play. And they didn't know it, just 30 minutes earlier, I got myself chewed up pretty good because I didn't know what was going on. That's how I started my career. And I was fortunate to have coaches like Coach Lease. Coach Lease, in football is simple. I try to always make it simple. He said, Darrell, if you can count to 11, you can play football. If you can count to 22, you can be a quarterback. And I said, well, I can do that. And that's how I started. And we kept it simple, and we were very successful.
You know why the program was successful after that? They didn't make a fullback quarterback. Because they'd have done that with me, then we'd have lost. Anyway. Okay, so you're from Clovis. Now, the Clovis that we know now, compared to the Clovis then, and the perception of it, you go to Notre Dame. What did they think, or how did it feel to go to a big school like that, and on both sides? How were you received, and how did you feel?
Well, it was a big step. It was a major step, and I actually had to be doing SC in Notre Dame. And when I flew back and met with Notre Dame, I had a chance to go back. I went back and signed my freshman year. I'd end up hurting an ankle in an all-star game, and I really couldn't play freshman ball. And freshmen couldn't play college ball back then, we just sophomore, junior, senior. And then, so I got to really go out and compete. And I found out how much Lloyd Lease and our coaching staff had taught me. And I was a starting quarterback my sophomore, junior, and senior year. But I also played right cornerback. I did all the punting, and I went down on all the kickoffs for 3 years. And I just thought all quarterbacks did that. I didn't know that. But that was just all the background that I had from Clovis, and being able to take it on to Notre Dame and play at a higher level. I was very fortunate.
Didn't you research the weather before you went back there?
Yes.
Did it play in?
It got a little cold, and but that was part of the challenge, I think. I graduated in 4 years from Notre Dame, and I had a chance to sign professionally and go on to play a little professional football, and that was very special.
Actually being in California.
Well, when I look back at it, I have so much respect for Simon and Lloyd Lease that taught me the game, taught me to keep it simple. It was all about us and we as players. Never, ever have I played with any team, Clovis, Notre Dame, the pros, where it's I or me. Those guys didn't exist. They didn't get in our huddle. They weren't allowed in our huddle. And with that, that's made it really simple. And you know, I'm fortunate to be right here. And I'd like to introduce you. I have a young little quarterback coming up right here, little Gavin Darrow, and my granddaughter Ella. And so maybe in a few years, we just might see a number 3 back on Clovis gridiron here. So,
I've got one more for you. And this might take a little bit of time to answer this one, because I'm sure anybody that's a huge football fan, speaking of the Raiders, and Derek Carr, what a guy. And it's, I mean, you say the name Madden, and just, who wouldn't like to sit and talk to John Madden, right? God is an amazing person. We know what we saw on the sidelines. You knew him personally. You played for him. What was that like?
well, John Madden was a great coach. He did, but I think you have to look a little before that, by the name of Al Davis. Al Davis is the owner, was the coach of the Raiders. But one thing about Al probably couldn't play the game. But he was such an astute student of the game, knew every phase of the game. So when Al come to talk to you, you really paid attention. And Al preached to me every game. It's not how many touchdowns you threw, how many passes you completed. He was all about stats. Interceptions and fumbles. The team with the best turnover ratio. Turnover ratio wins 93% of the time in professional baseball and even high school and college. That's a big number. I paid a lot of attention to that number. And Al Davis would just say, no turnovers, no interceptions. And he taught me that all you have to do is make 8 or 9 big plays a game. Hopefully they're touchdowns or field goals or a combination. And if you did that, you would win. And that was our goal when we went out onto the field. So when I played with the Raiders, my entire coaching staff, but we had the player. We didn't care who won the game. We knew somebody, it was us and we. We practiced hard every day. If I could complete a ball or two against my defense in practice, I was doing pretty good. And, but guys would stay out after practice, work with us, whatever it took. You didn't have to ask anybody to do that, they would just do it. And back then, now you gotta remember, for the football players here, we went to camp July 10th, and we broke camp September 10th. And we were 2 days every day. It's a little different what they have today. But, you know, I was just up the Raider camp. I got to see Carr and the boys, and I think Rude's going to do an outstanding job with the Raiders. I think I like his attitude. I like his discipline. As all athletes, we like to be disciplined. It's us and we. And I think I didn't see any big bodies. I think he's got everybody in shape, and I was impressed. I think Carr's going to break out and have a banner year. I really do. And so we got our fingers crossed.
Yes, we do. Hey, one more thing I just thought of. I've always been curious. Earning the nickname of the Mad Bomber. I remember watching you, and I can remember, you know, it wasn't unexpected that right out of the gate, you guys wouldn't just hand the ball off and go off tackle. You'd launch a ball that would probably go farther than the end of this room right here. And, you know, sometimes complete that right out of the gate. Was that planned? Was that the philosophy?
Well, that's kind of my personality, I guess. I like to attack. I used to have defense get mad at me. Don't score so quick. Don't throw those long passes. Work it down. Take time off the clock. And then I would really feel bad inside. But you know, that was Al Davis and the Raider philosophy is to attack, to score. But I had some great athletes. I had Blitzoff, Warren Wells, and then Raymond Chester, guys that could on any given play go deep, and we could dictate by offensive formation. So I was a quarterback in heaven, because I have so many great athletes running a great offensive line, and but that's what made us Raiders so special. That's why we won so much. And you know, I played 12 years in the AFL, NFL. And I was on championship playoffs and Super Bowls 11 out of 12 years. So I played with some pretty good athletes, and I'm very, very honored to have done that.
We talk about elevating the name of Clovis as a community, but certainly the original high school. You have done that, sir, incredibly well, and I think we owe you a round of applause like never before. So this is your moment, and we do want to say congratulations on being inducted. We're proud of you. Thank you. Next on the list, Jack Maddox.
1956 graduate Jack Maddox was a member of Clovis High's football, basketball, and track teams. He was the Cougars' first football player to play pro football. Although he qualified for Berkeley, he was a hometown guy who preferred Clovis to big city atmospheres. Jack wanted to remain where he could hunt, fish, and enjoy the big outdoors, so he opted to attend Fresno State. He earned his way onto the Bulldogs starting lineup for his junior and senior years, where he played both offense and defense. Jack went undrafted out of Fresno State, but was invited to try out for the San Francisco 49ers, Green Bay Packers, and the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys initially signed him in 1959. In 1961, he had offers from the Oakland Raiders and the Denver Broncos. Jack signed with the Broncos and started in 13 of 14 games. He was placed on injured reserve status following a 1962 knee injury, but was asked to re-sign with the Broncos in 1964. Jack's gut said that pro football would be a limited endeavor, so he moved on to teach and coach for 2 years at Citrus College in Glendora, California. He was asked to become a full-time teacher and assistant football coach at Fresno City College in 1966. Over a coaching career there that spanned 25 years, Jack worked with 4 junior college state championship football teams and continued to teach for several years.
Well, hello there, Cougar. And Bronco. Yeah, those were some big times there, huh? What was it like? Denver, Mile High City.
Denver, that was a great place. Denver was a great town. Darryl can attest to this. Back in the American Football League, it was very interesting. We thought of Denver being 3 teams, 1 team playing, 1 team that just cut, and a team coming. Because at that time, it was the early AFL years, and there was a lot of track in and out from various teams, especially from the NFL. Release and then a second chance. Like thinking they could carry out their career, maybe a few or even like hang in there with the AFL. That was interesting, very interesting. I feel like I'm home. This was our basketball course. When I was at Clovis,
I remember that, it was.
this was our court until my junior year at the Bill Clark gym. I was the first guy to shoot baskets in that gym. I can't tell you how many hours I spent down there trying to stuff a basketball.
You're tall enough, did you ever manage it?
Oh yeah. I went out probably every 20 times.
55, right?
1955.
55.
Last season, graduated in 56.
56. So who were some of your buddies back then?
My buddies, kid played next to me, a guy named Don Noel. His son is a basketball coach at Clovis, I believe, isn't he? Yeah, he's still there. Don Noel played next to it, right next to me. A guy named Mike Wardell, he was a great athlete. After a football season our senior year, he joined the Army. Typically what guys did. And Clovis to me was really interesting because the first football game I ever saw Clovis play I played in it. I'd never seen a football game before. I came from a ranch out in Clovis. My mother was one of 13 kids, and my grandfather came out in the late 1800s and started planting vineyards. And his house is still out there. In fact, he was on the school board for Cutler Colony. And my mother went to Red Banks with all of her sisters, taught by a gal named Shirley Pendergrass. It wasn't Pendergrass at the time. She married Travis Pendergrass. So I come from a long line of Clovis people.
Back to 1955, back then when you actually went out for football, were there tryouts? Was it something that, how did they notify everybody, hey, we're forming a team? What was it like
My
back
buddy
then?
said he played football, and I said, no, I played fight football in elementary. I wasn't any good, because all the little fast guys, I was the biggest guy in school, so. They said, no, this is different. It's got to come out for football. We need big guys. And so, right out here in the old practice field, I was in the back row. They told me, whatever the coach says, be sure to do it. I was in the back row. And the first drill we had was on all fours, forward, back, I don't know what you call that. I was in the puncture buttons. But I never got up. Because they said, whatever the coach says, you better be doing it. But I never got up. That night, my mother spent about an hour picking thorns out of my fingers. But I'm smart. I'm a fast runner. And the next day, I was in the grass. So, and worked out a lot better.
You still a Bronco fan?
Oh yeah. But you know, time goes. Sometimes I forget which fan I am.
Biggest memory, biggest fondest memory that you had from your days at Clovis High playing football?
The days at Clovis High. Well, we played Corcoran High School, and they had a running back named Wayne Crow. His brother Lyndon played for the Giants. Wayne was a Valley champion, shot discus guy. I was a lineman. This game, they needed 1 yard. The game was close. They needed 1 yard to make the first down. Coach has me come out. He says, you're going in, you're linebacker, and you're going to stuff Wayne Crow into the bleachers. And but that didn't happen. My neck still hurts.
I was going to say, were you in the bleachers?
My neck still hurts.
We've all been there once or twice. That's part of learning how to dust yourself off, the Spartanian attitude, you know. Get up and press on, right? Right. Can't be a lineman without that mentality. All right. Turnovers. Put them on their back, right?
Well, given this microphone, I used to teach at City College, and I had classes of, at one time, 206 seats, and you had to be an entertainer.
What did you teach? What did you teach?
Health science, not leather.
Are you healthy? Did you follow your own advice?
I can't remember.
Oh, good, that you did things right.
I was 80 yesterday, but I was told I didn't live a day over 79.
You look darn good. And like all the other people that have come up here, we're really proud of you. And it's an honor to sit next to you tonight and also to have your name going up on that wonderful wall. You're welcome.
It's really an honor for me to have been a Cougar. My only regret in all my career, coaching and playing, especially coaching, is I never got a chance to coach in Kansas. Don't call me.
He's not done yet.
Don't call me.
We're talking to Mr. I ain't going anywhere over here.
So many of my players have gone on to coaching, and so many of them asked me to come. Coach, you got to come coach with me for you. And I said, I'm going to go home, take a nap, and I'll think about it. I can't tell you how many naps I took.
Thank you again. Let's hear it for him. Fantastic. All right. We've still got some territory to cover, and it's all going to be good, too. Next up, Dave Lewis. Inductee Dave Lewis.
Dave Lewis was a standout football player who graduated from Clovis High in 1963. He attended Stanford University, where he played as a star quarterback and punter. Dave amassed an amazing 4,879 yards while playing at the quarterback position for the Cardinals. Dave was selected by the New York Giants in the 5th round of the 1967 NFL Draft, then played 3 seasons for the Canadian League Montreal Alouettes. Just 3 years out of Stanford, he thought he'd exhausted all of his options and retired, until February of 1971, when the quarterback's coach for the Cincinnati Eagles came calling. The same Joe Walsh, who had recruited Lewis out of Cougar Country to play at Stanford. Dave reported to the Bengals trial camp and was out at quarterback and punter, impressing both Walsh and head coach Paul Brown. He totally expected to wind up as a punter, but one of the Bengals were also looking for a quarterback due to the 1969 AFL Rookie of the Year Greg Cook's shoulder injury. Lewis played his A-game and punted for 3,651 yards for 42.6 average, the best in the entire NFL. None of his punts were blocked, and 43 weren't even returned that year. Lewis led the NFL in punting in both 1970 and 1971, and was a standout punter, quarterback, and reserve running back for the Bengals from 1970 to 1973.
Now, Dave's award is going to be accepted by his former teacher, coach, and mentor, and Clovis legend, Ralph Lockwood. I also have to mention that he was my mother's boss for a while, and she loves him, so if Gloria loves you, you must be quite a great guy. Have a seat. How are you doing? Is that thing on? Oh, it may have gone off. Wait, tell me. Use this one.
I'm doing great. Good. Well, I first met Dave when he was a 7th grader at Clarkwood School. He grew up in the Indian Mission in the foothills. And so when he was a seventh grader, he came in down the valley and we went to Clarkwood School. And I was a teacher at Clarkwood School. And in the two-grade school, I was the only male on the staff. So obviously I got all the children. So when I first met Dave, he was the first elementary student I ever saw to do a jump shot. And I said, boy, this kid ever grows, he will really be a good basketball player. So he grew. And he was a great flag football player. He was a great student. And so that's when I first met Dave. And I followed through his career at Clovis High School. And then when he went to Stanford. And I've been sitting on the touch for a few years. His family still lives in Stanford. His mother's still alive, but she lives in Clovis. And so he's got his family to sit locally. Got a cousin of Dave, Pro. And so that's how I got to know him. And then he comes to town every year to see his mother. We get together for keep some contact. I feel very honored to have this privilege of accepting this football. Honored to be asked. Well, give me a little note on the
Guys, this other mic here, if you could, somebody retrieve it, maybe we could replace it or take a look at it. Thanks.
This is an email from Dave, and he wanted me to read this. Ralph, thanks to you and your lovely wife, Darlene, for your many years of friendship and your willingness to accept this award on my behalf.
It is an honor and a privilege for someone who only exercised ability given to them by the Creator. Unfortunately, I am unable to attend the ceremony as my wife Linda and I are in Eastern Canada visiting family and friends and celebrating our 50th anniversary. Please extend my congratulations to the other inductees and my congrats to Cheryl Rogers and others for holding my hand through the process. Cheryl was my principal point of contact, no pun intended. She'll see you soon. God bless all of you, and go cooking.
Nice job, Matt. This is really special to have your name on one of these footballs, and also it's an honor to be up here to receive it on his behalf. And job well done. So congratulations to you and to him. How are we doing on that, Mike? Test 1, 2. Okay, good. All right, it's time for Keith Poole.
In the mid-1990s, Keith Poole was a standout wide receiver of Clovis High. The Cougars had never before been blessed with such a talented wide receiver. Keith was a key player when, during his senior year, the Cougars went undefeated, won a league championship and CIFL championship, and ended the season with a national ranking. In a playoff game versus Foothill during that season, with 300-plus yards, Keith set a state record for receiving yards in a single game. After graduating from Clovis High, Keith went to Arizona State and played for 4 years alongside Jake Plummer. As a sophomore, Keith began his assault on the school record book. Keith did plenty to deserve the legend tag, reeling in 55 receptions for 1,036 yards and 7 touchdowns as a junior. Against Nebraska, Poole caught 6 passes for 200 yards, which helped him average 18.6 yards per pass on the season. He was a member and leader of the 1996 Pac-10 championship team. In 1997, he and Plummer helped lead the Sun Devils to the Rose Bowl. A first-team All-Pac-10 his junior and senior year, and second-team All-American his senior year, he caught 140 receptions and recorded 2,691 receiving yards while at ASU. As one of only 5 receivers to accumulate over 1,000 receiving yards in one season, Keith is one of the most prolific receivers in school history. Keith played as an NFL wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints in the Clovis from 1997 to 2001. He was selected by the Saints in the 4th round of the 1997 NFL Draft. In his 5-year NFL career, Poole caught 96 receptions for 1,734 yards and 11 touchdowns, and was the offensive MVP in the New Orleans Saints in 1999.
Representing Keith Poole, a guy that knows a lot about receiving passes, Coach John Sexton. Hi, John. Hey, not too bad. You still playing guitar?
Yeah,
A little bit?
play together.
We used to play together once in a while after class. I figured if I taught him how to play guitar, he'd give me a better grade. Didn't work.
I actually remember being quite better than him.
That's the way he tells the story. Hey man, it's good to be with you tonight. Awesome. It's an honor to see you guys. One of the many men that fought next to you and won a lot of games. And you're representing quite a guy here, Keith Poole. Let me tell you, man, after I left Clovis High, this is a name I heard a lot about. That's no doubt. What skills did Keith possess that made him such a successful and unique, really unique receiver from high school and then all the way into the big leagues?
Well, I'd say, first of all, Keith was a ferocious competitor. And he was very competitive when it came to catching footballs. He wanted to catch the football. And I don't mean asking to have the ball caught or thrown at him. because we wanted to do that anyway. We wanted to get the ball. You didn't have to do that. But if 3 people were going for the football, people were going to come down. So he was a first competitor, just an absolute person that I think took splendor and just about as much as anybody I've ever met in my entire life. The 2 physical skills that I think Keith possessed was catching the football and running with it afterwards. Now, let me say this. Keith had a lot of skills, but I know we're limited in time here, so I'm going to tell you the 2 best that I think he had. First was his ability to just catch the football. And I'm talking about going from diving over his head and keeping his feet in bounds for the referee. Sometimes I think he was out of bounds and the referee said, "That was such a big catch. I can't take that away from him." You know what I mean? To diving on the sidelines, keeping his feet in bounds, to never dropping the ball. I don't really remember him ever dropping a pass. So he could catch the ball. I remember saying to myself when I coached him, for a week, that you can catch the ball as well. There's somebody out there in the hemisphere somewhere that can catch the ball as good as Keith. You can't catch the ball better. You just can't catch the ball better than Keith can. Okay? And that's quite a statement to make. Secondly was his ability to run with the football after he caught it. Okay? He had this ability to, when he caught a pass, his feet were going fast and forward like a cat as soon as he caught it. Okay? I don't care if he had to jump to catch the ball. He landed running full speed. Okay? And he also didn't just take off fast, he made guys miss. A lot of his touchdowns were 10-yard gains that turned into 70-yard touchdowns because he just made guys miss. And he was so foot quick. So foot quick. I can't express that enough. It was just, and I see guys in the NFL, they're all pro, they catch footballs, and after they catch it, it takes them a while to get going. You know what I mean? Before they get that speed going. He landed on his feet full to it. Off the races, you know what I mean? And the quarterback coach at the Saints, New Orleans, when Keith was there, later became the offensive coordinator at Fresno State. And he and I had a lot of talks and conversations, and so did Coach Simons, about Keith. And they used to ask him, I said, what were some of Keith's skills? You know, what did you like about Keith? And he said the same thing. He said, the guy, when he gets the ball thrown to him, nobody can catch it better. He might be able to catch it as well. There might be somebody out there that can catch it as well as him, but not better. And he also alluded to the fact that he could take off faster than anybody he'd ever seen. So led to these large gains, okay? And so that kind of substantiated my feelings about Keith as a receiver and his physical skills. One little tidbit that isn't in the program, that Keith, when he was with the New Orleans Saints, led the NFL 2 seasons in yards per catch. Yards per catch. Okay, that's a pretty complimentary statistic to have. Okay.
Awesome. LaMonica Stadium, 1991, Valley Championship.
Oh yeah.
Tell us about that game in Keith Bowl.
Well, to set the stage for that game would be very difficult, although I know many of you were there. First of all, we had beat them earlier in the season, the last game of the regular season. And there was a little bad blood after the game. They were complaining, mouthing off just a little bit. And it's always more difficult to beat the team the second time around. I don't care what anybody says. The pressure is on the winner. Well, the place was absolutely packed. Absolutely packed. The electricity was out of control. I mean, it was as intense and as good an atmosphere for a high school football game as you could possibly have. And those of you who were there remember this, I'm sure. Anyway, the two things about Keith Poole, the three things I remember about Keith Poole in that game, and like I say, you could have heard a pin drop sometimes, and sometimes you couldn't hear yourself think in that game. But one was we were down 10 or 14 points about midway through the third quarter, and Keith made we called a post, and he made a fantastic catch in the end zone to give us life. He brought us within 3, I think, as well as gave our team a kind of a boost, kind of a little spirit that we were losing a little bit, because Clovis was a very good football team. Needless to say, they're a very good football team. And anyway, it gave us a little boost, so that was one thing I remember. Another that I remember with Keith was that, I may have to stand up for this one. Keith, one of the hardest things for a receiver to do, one of my favorite catches that I've seen since I've been coaching, was we had 3rd and 10 or something like that. We threw him a square in, which is running across the sideline full speed. Okay, well, he's running full speed, absolutely full tilt across the field. And Jason Soya threw him the ball instead of, okay, and he turned around and caught it, this 100-mile-an-hour pass, by the way. Jason had quite the run, and reached back and caught it. And I'm talking about a guy running full speed that way, you know, an hour behind me. Or something, or trying to spin the ball on the ground. It got us about a 20-yard gain and a very, very big first down. And I think the receivers are out there, I know there are some, will tell you that is one of the hardest catches to make, but it didn't measure up maybe with some of his diving catches in the end zone where he kept his feet in bounds, but it was an unbelievable catch. Then the game ended in a tie. The referees decided that it was going to be a draw because we didn't have any further games to go to. There was no state playoffs back in those days. So, anyway, the fans, the players, the coaches were having none of that, okay? That wasn't going to happen. And I remember hearing the game was over, it's tied. I came down from the press box, got all the way down to the field, got into arguing, and went all the way back up, okay? And you know, you're just sitting there going, you went from a tie, to, oh, hey, we're playing again. We're going California tiebreaker. So, ultimately, they got the ball first. Oh, by the way, I'd like to say, too, before I forget, Keith was triple teamed with this guy. They sold their defense out to taking care of Keith Poole. And I'm telling you, he's very, very good, okay? They sold 3 guys out to cover Keith Poole. But anyway, they got the ball first in this tiebreaker, and they scored in about 2 plays. It was pretty scary how quickly they scored. But they missed the field goal. Okay? So now we got the ball. And what we did was we sent Keith Poole in fly sweep motion. We worked on this play not that terribly much. We just knew it would be a good play because they were triple covering. They were trying to stop Keith Poole. Well, anyway, he went on a fly sweep motion, full speed across, right back at Jason Sasoya. And Jason, by the way, when he did that, when he ran across the field full speed, 3 guys ran with him. And then the linebackers were leaning. Because they thought we were going to run a fly sweep Keith Poole, which wouldn't have been a bad play, by the way. So anyway, what ended up happening was Jason took the snap, turned around, Keith went right by him like that, and he faked a counter and ran into the end zone. He could have walked into the end zone. The coaches that are here know that for a fact. He literally could have walked into the end zone because so many guys were chasing Keith. So those are a few of the things that I remember about Keith. And as I'd like to say, the point, we kicked the extra point, and that's the end of a story that I think will live in Clovis history for a long, long time.
Awesome. John Sampson, your job tonight was to let us know a little bit about Keith Poole, and you did it exceptionally well. Thank you. Don't forget the ball. A little bit louder. And now it's time for Steven Spock.
Steve Scott led at Clovis High in football and basketball. As a senior, he helped to lead his football teams to a 12-1 record that included Tri-River Athletic Conference and Central Section championships. He walked on as a Fresno State freshman and earned a redshirt scholarship as a sophomore. He contributed to 4 winning seasons under head coach Pat Hill and assistant coach Tim Simons, and caught the game-winning 25-yard touchdown pass on the Dogs' first offensive play in their 37-34 overtime win over Virginia in the 2004 NBC Computer Bowl. As a 2005 free agent, Spock signed a 3-year contract with the Philadelphia Eagles and solidified a regular position throughout the season on the 53-man roster. He played briefly with the Minnesota Vikings and New England Patriots, then signed with the Arizona Cardinals. In the Cardinals' first-round playoff win over the Atlanta Falcons, Spock had 3 receptions, including a 24-yard first-down catch from Kurt Warner late in the fourth quarter that clinched Arizona's victory. Following a torn ACL injury, Stephen was re-signed by the Cardinals from 2009 to 2011. The ever-resilient Spock then signed with the St. Louis Rams and played in 10 regular season games. He ended his NFL career in 2012 following a brief stint with the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, that's quite a story. There's no doubt this Cougar we're proud of, that's for sure. A walk-on at Fresno State to a success, not just a career, but an impact career. Sit down. In the NFL. Have a seat. You're making me look too little anyway. I'm gonna sit down.
I got arthritis, so okay.
Thanks, buddy. So yeah, a walk-on at Fresno State and then on to a successful career in the NFL. Wow. Give us insight to that journey.
God, yeah, I think I just love football, you know, growing up. I think that's the long and short of it. From growing up with, you know, throwing the football around in the front yard with my brothers, and all the way through, you know, elementary school and Red Bank Elementary here in town, Clark, and being a Cougar and growing up watching my older brothers playing football and dreaming about it. Wrote in my 6th grade journal that I wanted to play in the NFL. I still have it, so yeah. I think that's kind of what it's about. So I think I like football so much that the hard work and stuff, it was fun, you know. All that pain or what have you, the tough times, usually have a smile on my face anyway.
You mentioned about the journal and back to your childhood. When you were there on the sidelines or in the middle of a game at Fresno State, if you had a moment, did thought ever enter your mind? What the NFL, that's a big stage. I mean, did you think? Did you want?
Oh,
was that the objective?
That wasn't the objective. I mean, not really. No, I just it was always like a dream. You know, I just wanted a chance, I guess, to play. I wanted a chance to play at any level it was. So I say it all the time. I was never the best athlete on any team I was on. I was never the fastest, never the strongest. I can't say that I wasn't up with the smarter guys. But
The weatherman?
I was never the best player on the team. I was just, I was happy to be there and be part of every team that I was on. And I was fortunate to have some good opportunities and and make the most of them.
You're the only person that sat beside me, and not that they didn't have it, but you are wearing some pretty impressive jewelry. Tell us about what you got on your finger there.
Got my wedding ring.
That's a good one. That's probably the most important. Touchdown!
And I've got a 1999 Valley Championship ring. I've also got a 16-0 New England Patriots AFC Championship ring.
That's the one I was waiting for. Wow. Yeah, that's a winning franchise, I'd say. Yeah.
Pretty good group.
Yeah. What a journey, buddy. I mean, that's pretty amazing. From going from writing something in a journal to walking on Fresno State and then taking the journey you did through there, and you know, an organization like Mr. Kraft has put together. You've been involved with winners all along, but this is where it started, right?
Yeah, this is where it started. Yeah. We want to talk about that 99 team.
Yes, let's talk about that 1919. You beat me to it.
We got to at least touch on it.
Yeah.
That team was, I mean, it was so, we had so much talent. And then we had such a great coaching staff. I mean, the talent that we had, like I said, I was the best player on any team probably that I've been on. Definitely not on that team. I mean, just to name a few guys that played college football. I mean, Matt Rivera's in this room. Chris Patrick played college baseball, could have played college football. Chris Sims, Lenny McCormick, Jazz Bain, Ryan Kater. I mean, we just had a ton of guys, a ton of talent. Then we had the coaching staff that Coach Simons talked about earlier, led by Coach Simons. And then we had, like they talked about, the 91 team. We were packing the stadium, 9,000, 10,000 people. It was incredible. Friday Night Lights. The community was together. I mean, we believed in the lore of Cougar football, and there were groups of us that would stay together on like Fridays before the games and watch like the highlight tapes from the 91 team that my brother was a part of, and like the championship team. So we loved it. We were all about it. We expected to win. We knew we were good enough to do it, and I mean, it was a blessing to be part of that team.
Awesome, Steve. Man, that's front row insight right there, you guys, and an infamous team at that 1999. Congratulations on everything. And your success, and your testament to Clovis Unified. Thank you. We're not done yet. It's time for Tyler Klutz.
Tyler Klutz started as a defensive end and quarterback at Clovis High. While racking up 2,383 passing yards in his senior year, he led his football team to an 11-2 record and a single section Division I large school championship. In 2002, he was also California State Wrestling Champion and top-ranked wrestler at 215 pounds. Tyler earned a football scholarship from Fresno State, where he played as a defensive end. He started as a sophomore, posting 52 tackles, 12 of which were for loss, 7 sacks, and blocked an extra point. Tyler finished his college career with 172 tackles and 23.5 sacks. After going undrafted in 2008, Klutz played for the Canadian Football League Edmonton Eskimos, for the Arena Football League's Utah Blaze, and for the United Football League Sacramento Mountain Lions, where he officially made his switch to fullback. Klutz was signed by the Cleveland Browns in January 2011 and was ultimately signed to the practice squad. Tyler attracted interest from the Chicago Bears special teams coordinator, Dave Cove, and was signed to a 3-year deal that September. He also played for the Houston Texans and Miami Dolphins. In 2013, Tyler was signed by the Dallas Cowboys as a fullback, and in 2014, he paved the way for DeMarco Murray to become the NFL's leading rusher. Tyler also caught his first NFL pass in a major upset victory over the Seahawks in Seattle and scored his first career touchdown in a divisional round playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers. Clovis completed his NFL career in 2015 by helping to create the openings that led to Darren McFadden's 1,000 yards rushing.
Tyler. Hey, man. Have a seat. Boy, you've seen a lot of locker rooms, right? You've been around the league a little bit there, right? And then to end up in the end at fullback, what's that journey like? Were they different? The locker rooms, the field experiences, and how did you end up in the end where you were?
Well, first of all, I want to preface this that Steve and I talked before this, and I told him what I was going to say in my speech and all this, and he literally stole it word for word. Like, word for word. Like, I wasn't the strongest, I wasn't the fastest. Literally same story. So thanks, Steve. I got nothing. I'll say this though, like Steve, I was really lucky to have played for this program. I was really lucky to play for the coaches that I did. Unfortunately, my freshman year on the freshman team was Coach Simon's last year there, but Coach Kellum led the charge with Coach Sexton. So I was prepared. I played defensive end, I played quarterback, really. I was a fullback. You mentioned it earlier, like, oh, should move a fullback to quarterback. Well, I was kind of both when I played at Clovis High. And so I was prepared because I was coached by incredible men. And I had the leadership. And so it was an easy transition to play linebacker at Fresno State and then move to defensive end. And then whatever they call it in the arena league that I played, I don't even know, the butt sniffer. I don't know what that fullback position is there. But I was prepared from a young age, and I'm indebted to all them for that because they gave me that passion for football, and the Clovis football tradition gave me that passion for football, and it's whatever it took. I just would do it, and it was because of the support of my family, my parents, and my beautiful wife through that journey, and deciding, hey, do I go back to Canada and play defensive end again, or do I take a chance and move to fullback and try to climb this ladder from the very bottom? So ultimately, I was prepared and I was supported. So that was how all those transitions happened.
It led to a memorable moment or two, that transition, right? So that's amazing. From Clovis High to Fresno State to all over the NFL. Now, yeah, well-traveled, sir. You either love him or you don't love him. We're talking about Jerry Jones. I mean, America's team. So what was it like?
So my background, I grew up obviously here, and I was a 49er fan, Joe Montana, Steve Young days, and I hated the Cowboys. Absolutely hated them. And even my first few years in the league, when I played against them, I was like, all these arrogant, pretty boys, like. But until I stepped into that locker room, I didn't understand what the culture was. And when I was in that locker room, Jerry, as loud, as outspoken, as opinionated as he is one of the most loyal men that I've ever been around. And if you work hard and you do things right, he will support you. And he does. He sets all his guys up for success. Now, obviously, it's been a while since there's been that high-level success, but the culture that he built there was the first time that I had a resemblance of what I had here at Clovis High. I actually loved football again. Because Steve and all the guys can attest, when you get to that next level, it becomes a business. And that pure joy really is stripped down because you're literally at the facility, at practice, every day trying to not get fired. That's your goal in life, is to not get fired. But when you step in the locker room and the culture that Jerry created there, you just go play football and you love playing the game. And so I'll say this, I am indebted to him to letting me be a part of his organization for 3 years. And I loved playing there, and that's where we live. And had he not given us that opportunity, I would not be living in the second best city in the United States.
Hey, that was a good one. And I think it's also a huge compliment to coach down here because you're comparing. I think you're actually comparing him to him. I think he was the first example. So man, there's some strength in our past and our experiences here. It really is.
I'll say this, I did have the pleasure of playing for Coach Simons at Fresno State, well, across from Coach Simon. So compete against his guys and compete against Steve. And tell you, I got to see firsthand what an incredible man he was or is. And again, when you have a coach that you can see cares about his players more than he does winning, that's a sign of a good coach. And they're few and far between now, because sports are competitive, and they're so competitive, and all it is about winning and keeping my job and feeding my family. But this Coach Simons and leading his staff, and that's what we saw, is we saw men that cared about these boys more than they did winning, which translated to wins. So that worked out really well.
That's right. Anything else? Yeah?
I appreciate you guys. I'm humbled to be here with this group of men that are being honored tonight. I don't really feel like I deserve to be up here, but thank you so much.
You didn't steal your show, man. You kicked butt. Nice job, too. Good job, man. Congratulations. And now it's time for Zach Paul.
Following his 2005 graduation and an exceptional 4 years as a defensive player at Clovis High, Zach Paul began his collegiate football career at Cal Berkeley as a middle linebacker. He started 24 of 49 games, executed 245 tackles, set a school record with 13 forced fumbles, and represented Cal at the 2009 Senior Bowl. Considered one of the more physical and intense defenders in the country, as well as a punishing hitter, Paul registered high-popping stats. As a first-season full-time starter, he earned second-team All-Pac-10 honors. Paul was selected by the Detroit Lions in the 7th round of the 2009 NFL Draft. He was activated to assist on special teams and made his debut against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Zach's first NFL tackle was named Hit of the Week by the NFL Network. For a brief period, Zach publicized American football with the Channel 4 Sky Sports broadcasting team in England. He assisted with evening coverage of the NFL and the 2012 NFL Wildcard Weekend. Paul also worked with Christian Youth Ministries while he was there.
How you doing? Come on up. Awesome. This opens up another subject I want to talk about, some other coaching legends. Larry Callum. How about Larry Callum? In relationship to Jeff Tedford, of course. Some similarities there, maybe some differences, and also Cal Berkeley. Tell us, what was it like?
Well, man, starting out with Larry Callum, the legend. I learned so much from him, and I think my favorite story, he was the weight coach as well, so in PE, my favorite part of Larry Callum, he would come in and turn on Sweet Home Alabama on full blast, and he would walk out of the coach's room, "Let's pump some iron, baby!" And I mean, if you didn't get pumped up to lift weights with him as your coach, you didn't belong in the weight room. And so just what he showed us, and the fact that he believed in me, and then the friends and the people at Clovis High that encouraged me. I was scared to play varsity when I was a sophomore, because I see guys like Tyler Klutz and Adam Goldstein, and my friend Devin Hodges said, "Paul, you can do it, man." And man, just how much Coach Callum believed in me, that gave me the courage to go and do it. And I owe him so much. And Coach Tedford, as you guys know, what a great coach he is now with the Bulldogs. Man, one thing I love about Coach Tedford and why I love Clovis High is because he loved recruiting from the Valley. Because, as you know, with our weather, it's 116 degrees and we got double days, and so it makes tough football players. And so now that he's back, I'm excited for Bulldog football, even though I'm still a Bear at heart. But also, it's just been a blessing to have coaches like that to set me up for my career.
Can you see the intensity in this guy's eyes and hear it in the voice? What coach wouldn't want this guy on his team? Oh my gosh, awesome. Sports Illustrated, you make it to a cover. How does that happen? What did you think of that?
Yeah, that goes back to the intensity, and I'll still a little bit. I never felt like when I was in the NFL locker room, I'd look around, I'd see Ndamukong Suh and all these big guys, and I'd look at me, like, how did this little white boy from Clovis get in this locker room? Like, I don't belong here. And It was awesome to be, but I had to, so with that, I never felt like I was the most athletic or I was the biggest player, but I had a lot of anger as a kid, and I missed that because now in my profession, I can't strap on a helmet and hit people. And so when I had a quarterback in my sights, they always told me to hit with my head up, but it didn't hurt the person enough, so I always had my head down, and I think that ended my career. No, it was amazing because you open up that Sports Illustrated and you're on the spread cover, and man, dream come true.
Absolutely. Not the cover of the Rolling Stone, Sports Illustrated, right? All right, so we've come through quite a journey tonight and heard from a lot of people. You've got the stage here at the end. What's a message that you would want to pass along to this group of people tonight and those in charge of the current program?
Well, one thing, I took so much pride of being a part of the original Clovis High School, Clovis Cougar. That tells a story. If you came from the Clovis football program, we weren't the rich kids. We were the blue-collar, hard-working kids, and that's what I love the most. I wish we still had that original weight room when I was there. But that's what Clovis football was. We would outwork you, we would out-hit you, and then too, I mean, once you go and you travel a little bit and you go around to different cities playing football, and there's all these great places to live, I knew that if I was going to come home and start a business, I wanted to come back to Old Town Clovis, because the people of Clovis, you walk around in these other cities now, and it's no one. I know they have souls, but they don't have souls like people in Clovis. People still smile. People still love.
We wish you success. You deserve it. Not only for what you did for Clovis High and of course, all your pursuits afterwards, but what you're doing now. We've done stories on you quite a bit lately. It's good to see you on TV.
You know, I appreciate it, and I just want to thank everyone in this room. I can't, like a lot of the legends, you guys didn't know him around, so you guys know, man, this guy was a punk in high school. And it was hard, man, and I can't sit on the stage. I don't know who put this picture up right in the middle, but I can't not look at that and just give praise to God and how much He has blessed everybody in this room, and He created the Daryl and Monica's and everybody here, and just the blessing that He's put on Clovis High and what the people here of Clovis are about. I'm so proud and so happy and so blessed to be a part of such a rich family of Cougar blood, and thank you all for everything that you've done for us, and it's an absolute honor to be here tonight, so thank you.
Amen. Let's have a round of applause and everybody stand up and congratulate the inductees to the Hall of Fame for Clovis High football. Congratulations to them. Will all of the inductees please come up on stage at this time? Okay? Come on up, guys. I'm going to turn the microphones back over to the folks in charge of the program. It's been an honor to be here tonight. And oh yeah, if you're not busy later on, watch ABC 30.
If we can get the inductees and honorees to come on up. So thank you, it's been a remarkable evening, and these remarkable gentlemen honored here this evening will forever be remembered as true legends of Cougar football. Their personal and professional contributions as players, leaders, and role models have truly personified Clovis High's long-standing motto of pride, unity, and excellence. We'll never forget their contagious will to win, how they electrified our players and our fans, and modeled to all of us what it means to never count the Cougars out. If you'll join us all now in recognizing and thanking them for their exceptional personal and professional contributions. On that note, I look, what an amazing evening, what an amazing place that we live. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Please travel safely to your destinations. We hope to see you next year. And again, please take this last time to honor our inductees for their contributions to Clovis High School.